is a bit like a science lab. Understanding the science of cooking helps you make food taste as it should. So why does food behave as it does when we cook it? And what's going on in our head when we eat it? Ice cream, my own childhood favourite. In this episode, learn a new approach to making it, meet the fastest ice cream gun in the West, and have your taste buds turned upside down by some startling new ice cream flavours. I've always loved ice cream. One of my earliest memories is an ice cream bar near Church Street Market off the Edgware Road in London. I used to try and get my gran to take me there. Luciano Lodico, the man who used to sell me those delicious ice creams, now runs ΧΗΜΕΙΑ here in Chiswick. Hi there.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Good, thanks. You probably don't remember me, but I used to come to the Regent Snack Bar 25 to 30 years ago. 28 years later, I have to have some vanilla ice cream, please.
Oh, that's great.
Honestly, I always feel like crying.
Yeah. Anyway, I tell you one thing. Being a child, I mean, we do something like we do with all the children. There you are. Children are special. Hope you enjoy it.
I'd love to get my hands on some of his recipes, but Luciano's a Sicilian with a mind of his own. Yeah, it's exactly the same.
There.
God, that's amazing. That's only 30 years later. Certainly, Luciano here at ΧΗΜΕΙΑ has been instrumental in my complete obsession with making ice cream. Most people don't make ice creams because I think, to be quite honest, they're scared of making them. I think they're too difficult to do. How do we get the texture and all this sort of thing? But just understanding a little bit of the science of ice cream, it really, really becomes easy. But what is ice cream? It basically consists of 5 things: ice crystals, fat, sugar, air, and other solids. It doesn't matter what the ice cream is, whether it's these delicious ice creams here, the stuff we buy in the supermarket, anything we make at home, or even the more unusual flavours that we serve at the restaurant, they all consist of these 5 basic components. At my restaurant, The Fat Duck, we like to invent new ice creams unlike any you've eaten before. As the chef, it is vital that I maintain that most important thing of all in restaurants, consistency. The only way of doing this is by continually testing and tasting everything. That's just how it should be. It's a mustard ice cream with a red cabbage gazpacho. You know, I'm a bit of an ice cream fanatic, and I'm quite particular about the way that I think that ice cream should be served. They should be clean, they should melt in the mouth really easily, no chewiness at all. But to make ice creams like that, there are 3 pitfalls you must avoid. First pitfall, lactose crystallization. Sugar molecules from the milk join together to make sandy lumps in your ice cream. Second pitfall, overcooking the egg proteins. They will then bunch together. The ice cream gets lumpy, just like scrambled egg. Third pitfall, large ice crystals. Let them grow too big, and they'll be bigger than the gaps between your teeth. The ice cream will go gritty. I'm now going to show you how to make a basic vanilla ice cream at home. It really is quite straightforward. Take some whipping cream, unrefined caster sugar, some whole milk, a vanilla pod, and some eggs. First, beat the eggs and sugar for 20 minutes. You don't have to have eggs in ice cream, but I favour eggs as they slow down ice crystallization and they make the ice cream richer. What's happening here is the sugar's mixing with the proteins in the egg, and as it does so, the colour will change from golden to an off-white. It will mousse up and double in size. The reason for doing this is that when we come to cook the eggs, which we'll do in a few minutes with the milk, this mixture will actually protect the eggs from coagulating, or, for want of a better word, curdling and becoming scrambled. And that's something we definitely don't want in our ice cream. It's fine in our breakfast, but not ice cream. You must get the proportion of your ingredients right. Too much milk and cream and you get that first pitfall, sandy lumps of lactose crystallization. Okay, now while this is mixing, I'm going to take this vanilla pod and slice it in half. Scrape the vanilla seeds out and add them to the egg and sugar mix. Put the pod in the pan, pour the milk onto it and simmer for about 5 minutes and leave it to infuse. Add some of the hot milk into your eggs and sugar, then pour that mix back into the pan with the rest of the milk. Add the cream and cook for about 20 minutes. Heating thickens the mix. It makes the ice cream richer and also destroys any bacteria in the egg. But don't overheat or you get the second pitfall. The proteins bunch up and the egg scrambles. It's ready when it's as thick as this and doesn't drip off the spatula, but be careful, it could still scramble. So I have ready here a bowl of iced water with a smaller bowl inside it. I'm just going to pour the custard into the bowl. And don't forget, don't stop stirring because there's still heat in there working away. Walk away and leave this for 5 minutes and you're going to come back and the last 40 minutes of your time will be ruined and you'll blame me. So keep stirring. Just 5 minutes is probably enough. What we need to do now, put it in the fridge, sealed container, give it a couple of hours. This just helps the vanilla flavour come out. Once that's done, take the mix out of the fridge and pour it into the churner. Churning breaks the growing ice crystals into smaller and smaller pieces and it prevents that third pitfall. The ice crystals growing so large they turn ice cream far too icy. Once it's churned, put it in the freezer for a couple of hours. There you have it, ready to serve delicious homemade vanilla ice cream. And whether you're a chef like myself, just a keen home cook or an ice cream company, those basic principles I've just shown you hold true to making ice cream. There are variations, but follow those and you won't go wrong. I've got a great little variation on vanilla ice cream, and it's one that really is quite simple to do at home and perfectly embodies a really interesting piece of flavour chemistry. Fat holds flavour. This vanilla is made with milk, not cream, so its flavour peaks higher but fades faster. But these jelly cubes of chocolate and pistachio are full of fat, so they release their flavour much more slowly after the vanilla's come and gone. Just mix them into the vanilla ice cream and put the whole thing in the freezer. There you have it, a new invention. Vanilla with encapsulated chocolate and pistachio flavour release. I'm now going to show you how to make a pistachio ice cream just the way I like it. I always base a proportion of my ice cream ingredients on scientifically established charts. The golden rule: to avoid all those crystallization pitfalls, solids must be between 30 to 35% of the total. With these ingredients, you prepare your basic ice cream mix as before and start to heat it up. And this time I add pistachio paste to the mix. Then comes my main innovation in ice cream making. It all started when I noticed how ice cream in restaurants often tastes too eggy. Egg yolks coagulate at 72 degrees. And basically, coagulate just means all the proteins, the amino acids, the long protein molecules, change shape and then clump together. A hard-boiled egg effectively means all the proteins are coagulated. That happens at 72. Traditional recipe books always tell you to cook your custard to 82 or 85 degrees, which is 10 degrees or more than the coagulation temperature of egg yolks. I couldn't understand why. It didn't make any sense. Then I started thinking, well, this is probably why the ice creams were tasting eggy. The protein's coagulating, clumping, and we're getting bursts of egg flavour when we eat the ice cream. An accurate thermometer is vital for controlling the temperature of the eggs. Heating them thickens the mix and makes it harder for ice crystals to spread out of control later on in the freezer. But heating them too much gives you that egginess that we just don't want. So what we do at the Fat Duck is exactly what I'm doing here. Taking the custard to 65 degrees, removing it from the heat, and then it's ready to churn. If you look now, we're on 60, just coming up 64. It's just about there. The two essentials here are to keep stirring and use a good thermometer. The only disadvantage here is, as the mix is thinner, it's easier for ice crystals to spread in the freezer. The ice cream will soon become less smooth and eventually gritty. Don't keep it too long. So here it is, churned frozen pistachio ice cream. Oh, that's great. That's really good. I know I made it myself, but it's really clean. But supposing you keep cooking your pistachio mix to over 90 Celsius. The egg proteins bunch together, the egg scrambles, and you get green scrambled egg. It's actually, it's nice. It is, honestly. Sometimes strange things happen in your kitchen, especially when you let in scientists. Today, Peter Barham, a physicist who's mad about food, is attempting to break the world record for making the fastest litre of ice cream. To do it, he's using super cold liquid nitrogen, temperature minus 196 Celsius.
Hello.
You're obviously going to try and beat your current record, which is 53.5 seconds to make 1 litre. What we'll do, we'll count you in after 3, and then you tell us when you're done, and we'll stop timing. Okay?
Yep, straightforward.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Peter's using a mix of sugar and cream, but no eggs. With no egg in the mix, there's no need to heat it. If the liquid nitrogen works, the ice crystals will form so fast and be so fine, there's no risk of lactose crystallization and no need for churning.
Done. Who wants to try it?
Pleasure.
It's a bit cold, actually.
I'll take the whole pot.
Not bad, actually, is it?
It's not bad at all.
Mm.
Look at the state of this kitchen.
Yeah, well,
I've got to cook in this. How am I supposed to... I'm an artist.
Well, it's not. This is artistry. Look at it. I mean, I could put this in the tape, you know. What was the time? Is that of interest?
Well, I got 20.58.
21.24.
Yeah, you cheated me, Heston.
So we'll need the second average of those.
Yeah.
But that's a new Guinness World Record. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
That was quick. But Pete, I think it's important just to say that people watching might look at that and think, well, yeah, it's not that smooth, because one ice cream normally is smooth.
That's
When you
it's
put
very,
it in,
very cold, yeah.
when you put it in your mouth,
It's remarkably smooth.
It smells.
the ice crystals are so small, it is really
it's
smooth.
much smaller ice crystals than you ever get from any other machine because it's such a low temperature. This is so cold, the ice crystals start going meat and you get billions of very, very small ice crystals, which makes it superbly smooth ice cream. It just looks a bit lumpy because of the way it's made. If we actually
But when you put it in your mouth, it's not.
Oh, if you give it a few seconds, it'll warm up and it'll go smooth. Because actually, it's rather cold, so it's not sticking together. It's the advantage with this technique.
Peter then made liquid nitrogen drambuie ice cream. You couldn't make this at home. Your freezer just isn't cold enough. The alcohol would stop it from freezing.
Yeah.
Frostbite again. The faster you make ice cream, the less flavour loss there is. So with liquid nitrogen, you could also make ice cream with very delicate ingredients, like rose petal, and retain most of the flavour.
Congratulations, Peter, your new Guinness World Record.
Thank you very much.
Now it's time to make a litre of ice cream.
Here we go.
I'll give him a clap for that. Next, meet the man whose house is like an ice cream museum. We've seen the basic chemistry of ice cream. To find out more about that, here's someone who knows as much about ice cream as anyone on earth, the writer Robin Weir.
Good afternoon, Heston. How are you?
Robin owns ice cream machines from right through the ages. Till very recently, ice cream making's always worked on the same chemical principle, churning to gradually form fine ice crystals. That was still true of the first machine that worked without a separate spade. This one designed by the astonishing Victorian cook and entrepreneur, Mrs. Marshall.
Mrs. Marshall was into the science of cooking. Mrs. Marshall was way, way ahead of anyone else in her day.
To demonstrate Mrs. Marshall's invention, Robin prepares an ice cream mix in the food processor, using marmalade, lemon, sugar and whipped cream.
So you just want to pulse it about 3 or 4 times. And that's it.
He then crushes some ice.
And then we spread this round at the bottom. And then you want to put on this the salt. And the salt is what will reduce the freezing point.
He then churns it in Mrs. Marshall's ice cream machine for 10 minutes until fine ice crystals form. And here it comes, a smooth marmalade ice cream. Pretty good consistency, really. I mean...
It is iced cream, literally where it all came from.
It's delicious. OK, well, ready?
Yes?
I then showed Robin a revolutionary new invention from Switzerland that makes ice cream without churning it. In the container at the bottom, an unchurned mix of sardine on toast ice cream, frozen into one big lump of ice.
So, there you go. It's now done to 2 portions.
Yes.
Is this how far...
Instead of churning, this machine just shaves the ice up into minute pieces while high-pressure air is pumped through it.
Yes. Well, that's what's clever from your point of view, because you can put it straight back in the freezer. And you don't have to worry about freezing and defrosting. That's amazing.
No churning, but you get the texture of fine churned ice cream. The great thing is, you can refreeze and reshave as many times as you want. We serve this with diced red peppers and parsley oil.
So I can try it.
Yeah. A bit of salt on the top. But
That's very good, because you can taste all the elements in it.
Yeah.
You can taste the sardine, you can taste the bread. That's really very nice.
But what is flavour? I've got more and more fascinated by what cutting-edge science says about the subjectivity of flavour perception. Next stop, Nottingham, for an experiment that boggled my mind. Andy Taylor's a professor of flavour technology at Nottingham University. He's doing some groundbreaking work on how we perceive flavour. This experiment's a good example. It shows just how subjective flavour perception can be.
OK, Heston, I'm about to start the machine now, so get ready.
In one bottle, a sugar fluid. In another, banana.
Something coming through?
Andy's hooked me up to tubes that will feed me 30-second bursts of them in different combinations.
So you should start to taste the banana now. Yep.
First, banana and sugar. For 30 seconds only, mind. And that's just what I taste, banana and sugar. But in that 30 seconds, I've become used to associating them with each other. So later, I won't be able to tell them apart. Now the sugar's turned off, but I think it's the banana. Because I can't tell the banana from the sugar.
So it's getting weaker. That's good. The flavour's the same, but the sugar's gone off. So you should be getting the same flavour. Your brain is being fooled entirely, Heston.
Now the sugar goes on again, and I think it's the banana getting stronger.
It's getting stronger, yeah. We've now put the sugar back on, so your brain's being fooled the other way. We've fooled you the one way, and now we've reversed the trend and fooled your brain both ways. And I guess you're getting a bit fatigued now, because after a certain while you can't really take on board any more changes. You start to run out of options.
Now the sugar goes down again, and I think the banana's going down.
Are you getting any change?
To weaken again.
It's weakening again, yeah. Your brain's being fooled again. We've changed the sucrose concentration. It's going down. The banana flavour is the same. It hasn't changed at all. I'm fooling your brain by putting sugar in, then I'm fooling your brain by taking the sugar out. So that's 3 times we've done it.
Andy repeated this several times, and he fooled me each time. You can try something similar at home. Chew some gum until the flavour seems to go. Keep chewing another 20 minutes. Then sip some water with a little sugar added. The flavour of the gum comes straight back, but in fact it never went away. Only the sugar did.
Even with someone like yourself with a fantastic experience of flavours, I can fool you just by turning the sugar on and turning it off. The banana flavour hasn't changed at all during the entire course of the experiment. It's always been there. The only thing I've changed is the sugar.
Now, the banana goes off completely for the first time. This, to me, is the really mind-boggling bit. I can still taste banana. But it's definitely banana.
OK.
Is there no banana there at all?
Right. You haven't had any banana for the last 30 seconds.
Well, I can still taste banana.
Yeah. So it's gone down, but it hasn't disappeared entirely. No. Yeah. I think maybe we should stop now before we drown you in bananas. Still there? Still tasting banana?
That's incredible. The fact that the flavour was heightened or decreased depending on the amount of sugar that was there, that doesn't surprise me at all. But tasting something when it isn't there I think that's really quite amazing.
It is, yes. Yeah, it's very
I can't tell you how weird it is, tasting something I know is not there. Here we're trying it on Dave, one of my chefs. The results are always the same. So why? I mean, do we know this yet?
Yeah, it's $1 million question, Heston. I mean, what is going on? Is it something happening in your brain? Is it the way all our neurons are connected together? Is it how we learnt the flavour when we were kids? Nobody knows, but this is what we're trying to find out, and maybe in 5 years' time we'll be able to tell you exactly what is going on here. You can see
concept and expectation play a huge role in flavour perception. So as a chef, if you create a certain mindset before you serve a dish, you can influence how it will taste, even what it will taste of. You can also heighten flavour perception by challenging the eater's idea of what they're going to eat. And now for something really special. This is one of those dishes that takes all expectations and turns them completely on their heads. It is without doubt the most controversial dish we have at the restaurant. Owen, in charge of desserts at the Fat Duck, is going to show you how to make bacon and egg ice cream. You start by roasting the bacon. The smoked bacon rashers should be lightly browned, just how you'd have them for breakfast, and put in whole milk. Place in the fridge to infuse overnight. The next day, add this to a mix of egg yolks and sugar. Heat the egg and bacon mix to between 85 and 90 Celsius, way hotter than conventional recipes say, to give the eggy taste that we want. As the eggs overcook, the proteins clump together. The eggs almost scramble. That's then ready to sieve, be blitzed in a processor, strained again, churned and frozen. If most chefs came in and saw Owen doing this, they'd think he'd lost his marbles, or at least his ability to cook. To serve, first, a tomato and red pepper compote, some caramelized brioche, a spoonful of salted butter caramel, then some sugared morels or wild mushrooms on top, a few drops of maple syrup, the bacon and egg ice cream, and a cup of gelid tea. It's all about overturning expectation. You don't expect egg and bacon ice cream, but if you are going to eat it, you think it'll be savoury, not sweet. It's a gastronomic double take.